Good morning, everybody. I'm here from my dining room to talk about the content of the Network Homes Board meeting, which was held on Thursday evening, the 21st of January. It was, as ever, a very busy agenda, but a lot of it was actually business, so bank mandates, management accounts, corporate risk register, that kind of thing. There were, however, three issues discussed which I thought might be of wider interest, and I'm going to focus on those this morning. And the first of those is our business transformation programme. What this is the very significant investment that Network has made in technology over the last 4 years, actually. Some of that has been updating essential systems like our accounting system, but quite a lot of it has been devoted to our customer service IT support, particularly customer relations management, and also providing online services, which is something that we've had as an objective for a very long time. The board were coming at it from a couple of different respects. One of them was the fact that it's taken longer to get to the point that we wanted to with online services than was originally planned. That's not unusual in IT upgrade rollouts, but in this instance, it's had another effect, which is that quite a lot of the savings to the organisation, which would then be redirected into other things, were predicated on a very high level of take-up of online services by this point. Now, in fact, we had envisaged originally that there might be a reduction of 37 full-time staff across the organisation as a result of various aspects of the IT rollout, and those staff reductions have not really materialised. So the board were investigating why that was, and what action, if any, should be taken to deal with that. The two reasons are the delay, firstly, as I already mentioned, but the second reason is a bit more difficult, because when organisations are trying to move customers onto using online services, there are two different ways of going about it. One is a kind of softly persuade people to sign up approach, and the other is to gradually start withdrawing other ways of accessing information and accessing services. For housing associations, this is quite a dilemma, because obviously we've got a very wide range of people living in our homes, and some of them will be completely comfortable doing things online, and others will still want to be able to have personal contact or make a telephone call. So the board were discussing the extent to which we might start to be a little bit more robust about promoting the channel shift, as it's called, for example, by beginning to reduce resources in some other aspects of our customer service activity. It didn't come to a firm conclusion, and in fact what was decided was that this would all be referred on to the Customer Services Committee, which does have tenant representatives sitting on it, the chairs of our neighbourhood panels, for a discussion about how we can start to shift the dial a little bit quicker. So far, we've had about 3,500 people sign up to our online portal, and those people are able, for example, to order a repair and schedule an appointment with a contractor without having to speak to the contact centre and sit in any kind of a queue. The other big item of discussion was also quite a difficult one for the board, because it involved the fact that we hadn't reviewed our leasehold management fee. That's the amount of money that we charge to leaseholders for managing the whole leasehold process, so sending out the bills, all the services that are provided, what percentage of those apply to leasehold, and so on. And because we haven't reviewed it for a very long time, if you just brought it up to date with current costs, it would result in some really sharp increases. So the board were quite anxious about this. They do agree that there needs to be a review, because, in essence, every part of the network resident, tenants and leaseholders are paying for services, and at the moment tenants are paying proportionally more than leaseholders, and that doesn't seem right. But equally, particularly in the current environment, we didn't want to impose very large increases sort of all of a sudden. So what was agreed was that the charges would have to be brought up to reflect what the services is actually cost, but we would do so over a longer period than originally envisaged, so 4 years instead of 2 years, and capping increases for individual households, and also offering a dialogue with anybody for whom this creates hardship. And then the final sort of customer facing thing that was given some significant discussion was whether we ought to be putting more resources into managing under occupation. People who are living in homes that are too large for them will sometimes, if they're claiming housing benefit, will be encountering the bedroom tax, as it's used to be known. I think the under occupation levy, as it's officially known. But also, obviously, it blocks up the capacity that we have to transfer people who are overcrowded into larger homes. And it's a very difficult one because there's no compulsion. You can't make somebody move out of an assured tenancy because it is too big for them, and nor would it be right to do so. But incentives tend to be too small to really encourage people to want to move. Now, in the end, the board decided not to make any massive changes to our current position, and that is because of the fact that it would require a very significant financial investment at a time when we already have numerous massive financial pressures. Obviously, there's a lot of extra cost arising out of COVID. We've still got the ongoing building safety situation affecting a lot of our buildings, which is creating a lot of additional cost. And much though the board would like to invest in dealing with under occupation more proactively, we felt that we should wait until the economic situation improves. There are lots of priorities for expenditure at the moment, and that does mean making some quite tough decisions. The board received its usual health and safety report. There was an update on a tragic accident that occurred in one of our developments, which I won't identify for the privacy of the household, but involved a child falling from height, and the board agreed that although the police investigation to this has been closed, that we would write, as the police requested, explaining to people the functioning of the width restrictors on their windows, and in essence encouraging people to understand how width restrictors work and what happens if you override them. And those were the main sort of customer facing parts of the agenda. We did make some appointments to some of our subcommittees, and I think something that's important for people to understand is it isn't just the main board making decisions on behalf of Network Homes. We have several subcommittees, including audit and risk, customer services, finance and investment, which deals with our development programme, and all of those are making big decisions in relation to our activity. So I'll probably say a bit more about that in a future session feeding back from the main board. Okay, I think I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in March.